Beyond the Waves is a HailHailMedia production. It may contain sweary words, and adult situations may be discussed. If you're in the company of underage temps, turn up the show now and listen back later. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, email us at beyondthewaves67@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at BTW Celtic Show, or you can join our group on Facebook at Beyond the Waves. Hail, hail, and keep the faith. All right, welcome to the Beyond the Waves Celtic Football Show. My name is Graham Wilson, and 6-0 today for the good guys. They're one goal off from the Magnificent Seven. It's my favorite song, but oh well. We'll have to wait for that for another day, but what a performance. You know, I tweeted out before the game started, this is the strongest starting 11, I think, that we have. Great to see Adam Matthews back, Michael Lustig, and Charlie Mulgrew, who had a tidy game in the middle of the park as well. Once again, not seeing the kids as was promised by Neil Lennon. Bit concerning for me. I mean, obviously we're playing games at this moment that really don't mean much. It's great to see the performance today, but I would like to see more of Liam Henderson. He got a chance to come on the park late in the game and continues to impress with his composure for just being 18 years old, just turning 18. Rev, we can buy him a pint now. Well, we can't buy him a pint here, but we can buy him a pint over there. So, we're going to break all this down. We're going to talk about things on the park as well as off the park. Hey, nice little segue there. Joining us as always from Perth Amboy, New Jersey, it is the Rev. Hail, hail, Rev.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today.
How you doing?
Oh, well played, sir. Well played. Rev is turning into the Fred Norris of the Beyond the Waves show. Good for you, Rev. I love it. I absolutely love it. Well played.
Thank you.
It's an appropriate jibe at me. I have. Let me just set the scene for you right now. We have this iOS 7.1.1 update that's going on for all of you Apple users. And if you haven't done this update yet, I implore you, please back up whatever the hell you have on your iPad, iPhone, whatever, because they will make you restore the entire thing, and it's a complete pain in the ass. I'm going through that process now. I have that going on this poor little laptop that I've had for the past 5 years. I mean, it's a piece of shit. I've got the hockey game on my phone, on my cell phone, against the New York Rangers, playing in red, white, and blue. Their fans are scumbags. Rev, I think we share a common enemy here with that.
I'll agree with you on that, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Olive branch accepted. Good for you, Rev. Good for you. What were your impressions of the game today?
Pretty good. I mean, my mom actually even sat down and watched a little bit, and she's just like, "Is there, are they just gonna give up? Did the other team just give up?" And
does this happen every week?
Rule? Yeah,
this is exactly the type of game.
The Effie goal,
yeah,
and then
Effie.
right away, Pookie comes in and scores, and she's like, "Is this how it always is?" Like, no, but.
And this is like the perfect game to take, sort of a new fan of the game or somebody that's just checking out Celtic. They show up to this and it's like, I can get into this. Yeah. Plus, you have players named Pookie and Effie. I mean, listen, if you come out and you can't defend against Teemu Pukki, which what is he up to, 8 goals this season?
I think so. Yeah.
You are shite. And of course Effie as well, stepping in with a fantastic goal, and he had as was described on Twitter, what was it, like a double half pike, backflip, somersault, sow cow.
That's some Tony Hawk shit he was doing today.
Absolutely, he was getting there. It was all about the vert. He did a little ollie, and happy days. Yeah.
Even defensively, I think we were pretty good. Obviously, that penalty was not, their penalty was not a penalty.
No.
That was just the giveth and taketh away of the referees.
Of the Masonic hierarchy. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Baldy McMason face.
And I sent out a tweet asking, who is this referee? Because, the sort of question went around the pub this morning, who's the referee? Is that Bobby Madden? And I was like, no. Bobby Madden was doing the Salt and Sauce Derby this morning. And it turned up it was Craig Charleston. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a name I don't know.
Yeah, obviously an up and comer. Amongst the lodge circuit. Mason McBaldy fuck. I sent out the tweet asking who it was. I got Mason Boyne, Mason McBaldy fuck, and you sent out Mr. Magoo. I
tried to go a little more, practical, but the other ones were better.
Ah, well, lesson learned. Fantastic. So, as you mentioned, it wasn't even a weak penalty. It was just not a penalty.
Right.
Full stop. I mean, I think that there's, probably an element of evening up. I mean, how is Mason McBaldy Nuts gonna, have a beer bought for him tonight if he's gonna give the Fenians a penalty and not, try and even it up?
Exactly.
Except he didn't count on the magic equalizer, the Great Wall, if you will, Fraser Forster, who once again saves a penalty. I mean, I've lost track. I can't even keep count of the amount of penalties that Fraser Forster has saved. And people want to tell the populace at large that John Ruddy deserves a place on that plane instead of him. I don't think so.
I don't know how many exactly, but I would say it's got to be double digits or close to it at least, over the last 3-4 years.
Got to be. I mean, obviously this wasn't a situation where he's going to save us points, but nonetheless, right. I mean, it's the type of momentum. It's the type of, you want the game to progress with class and I mean, especially having a penalty called against you in such a dodgy way. He comes up, makes the stop, and and just restores justice. I mean, who could ask for more? I guess, Rev, you can ask for more.
No, I can't. That's what more do you want?
It was a rhetorical as well as a hypothetical. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. You're the one with the thesaurus coming out, last week with the xenophobia, which I think really got the attention of many folks. We got a lot of feedback about that term specifically. So good for you, Rev. With the waistcoat instead of the vest. I mean, it's you have all of the technical stuff going on. So, I'll leave Griffiths get the start today. There was obviously a banner that was put up by the Green Brigade, who were back in the stadium. And Rev, your thoughts on the banner? I mean, to be honest with you, the Twitter reaction was very predictable. It seems as though anything the Green Brigade does is going to be inflammatory. It's going to draw criticism, and it's going to draw infighting amongst the social media, Twitterati, whatever. Quite frankly, I'm sick of it. I'm just tired of, the one side versus the other. And let me be honest, and let me get your reaction, your response. My take is this: the Green Brigade are not immune to making mistakes. They've made mistakes in the past. It's been sort of debatable about the specifics, but I think that they would probably admit in their heart of hearts that they've done some things in the past that maybe they wish they could have back. Fair enough. And they've come out and asked for forgiveness, because of those mistakes that they've made, so on and so forth. And I think that many people have given them a wide berth for a lot of reasons. Most notably, they bring such great atmosphere to the park each and every week. Obviously, their displays, their banners, the display against Barcelona in November of 2012. Nobody is ever going to forget that. So, obviously, they're going to get a bit of slack. And a bit of, as I mentioned, a wider berth because of that. When they do make mistakes, at least I've been vocal about, just cutting them some slack, and they're one of us. They're part of us. The thing that threw me off about their banner and about the message specifically was that they are now essentially not doing the same for one of our own. Lee Griffiths is one of our own, whether you like it or not. He is a Celtic player, and he puts on the Celtic shirt each and every week. He plays with a lot of heart. I mean, he gives everything that he possibly has to the team to help us win. And now it's as if obviously it's a Willie Maley quote that they had on their banner, but it's this idea that there is sort of zero tolerance for anything that's untoward. And for me, I just don't. I think it was. I don't know. I think it wasn't exactly clever. We'll just put it that way. Especially in light of the fact that, like I said, I mean, they've made mistakes in the past. They've asked for leniency, forgiveness, whatever you want to call it, and now they don't show the same sort of sentiment towards one of our better players right now. And to be honest with you, I think there's about 10 different topics that are more important than this one. Not to excuse Lee Griffiths' alleged behavior. If he did, lead that chant or start that chant or participate in that chant, it's unacceptable. That's what we've talked about in these past weeks. It's conduct unbecoming of a Celtic player. You and I talked about it. I don't think it's the dictionary definition of what you would call inverted commas racism, but it's xenophobia. It's definitely unacceptable. It's something that, as we talked about, I think that we can condemn the act without condemning the man. And that's sort of my take on it. I mean, he's one of us. We need to put our arm around him and say, look, this isn't what we expect from one of our own. You need to get your head straight. Somebody needs to put their foot up his ass. There needs to be punishment levied, but it's certainly not at the top of the list of things that are ailing the club. If they want to send a message, in a political or social way, I just think that it was poorly timed. I think it was a bit ham-handed. Your thoughts?
I think that my interpretation of it is that it's more of a warning, not a threat, but just a warning. A warning shot. Just a message. I don't know like I said, their exact intent behind it when they came up with it and made it. Just a reminder, a nicer way to make it sound. Because I agree that, it's still, we have to, see, what the finding is, if he actually did 100% participate. I mean, kind of being there in it is a little bit enough, but it's not damning.
It's sort of like the outcry against the Green Brigade when after the away game at Motherwell, when seats were broken, there was absolute carnage. There was nuclear fallout. It was the Green Brigade. We know it was. There was a guy with a Green Brigade sticker there, so it must have been them. And then after the investigation came through, it turns out that the people who were responsible for that weren't actually Green Brigade. So to your point, I think what you're saying is, let's wait for all the facts to come out. Let's wait for this investigation to be completed and find out exactly what happened before we start casting stones and sort of condemning the man, condemning people for this.
Right. And, that's what I'm trying to say. It may just be a more of a reminder, that there's some things going on. So let's throw this out. I honestly never heard of the quote before, like halftime when I found out, oh, that was Willie Mayley that said it. Okay. So I was ignorant to that fact. And it was just funny seeing the response of people saying that's absolutely garbage. Anyone that says that, is a FUD and a moron. And it's like, oh, do you know who really said it then?
The thing that I'm just sick of is, I mean, everybody needs to chill the fuck out. I mean, like seriously, Sammy Jackson needs to come in and just like, bitch, be cool. Everybody just chill the fuck out. Like, you have one side in this scenario from today that's saying that, oh, Lee Griffiths, he's a disgrace. He should never wear the Celtic shirt again. We need to get rid of ASAP. And then the other side says, oh, the Green Brigade come out with this banner and they're such hypocrites. And I wonder if you would have sang rebel songs, if they would have condemned them, as if singing rebel songs is on par with, a racist, an alleged racist chant, as it's being termed. I don't particularly agree that it's racist, but whatever. An unacceptable conduct, as if, those are on equal footing. I mean, I'm tired of everybody thinking that, oh, I'm a better Tim. No, I'm a better Tim. No, you're a panty wetter. No, I'm tired of it. Everybody needs to just shut the fuck up. I mean, just support the club, okay? You can think what you want. You can believe what you want, but I'm just tired of the condemnation, based on just ridiculous foundations. It's just boring, and I don't even want to, take an opinion or a side on it anymore. But people just need to stop.
I mean, just my last little bit on it is just, I would imagine he's on thin ice, and yes, I agree that, because he's a young kid and he kind of need, more rehabilitation than condemnation. So he should kind of, I don't mean like, just keep giving him a chance, keep giving him another chance.
No.
But, there has to be, obviously a red line that, after this point, that's it, we're done. Is this exactly it? Again, we have to wait for the results of the investigation. But we do have to have, if we're going to say we're more than just a club and all that rhetoric, we do have to have a standard that we have to keep.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. And again, let me reiterate, this is not a justification or an enabling or sweeping under the carpet what was allegedly done and allegedly had taken place. It's unacceptable. It's the type of thing where like you said, rehabilitation, education. I think these are the types of things that we need to go forward with at this moment. He's been with the club for what, 3 months, 4 months? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the type of thing where he's one of our own, as I mentioned, and let's support him. Let's try and help him rather than cast him out at the first opportunity. A lot of people, myself included, Rev, and I know that you had mixed feelings as well as the entire panel about his signing on the front end, and many people stepped up and said, we got to give this kid a chance. And fair enough, I did. And now, it seems as though there's this quick sort of turn of cheek as if we don't want any part of him all of a sudden. You know what? If we're going to give him a chance, we got to give him a chance. That said, I mean, if this is going to be a repeated pattern of behavior, right, that's something that we need to evaluate in the future and reevaluate and say, you know what? It's a lost cause. This is beyond sort of repair, and reassess at that point. But where we are currently in this process, I think it's just way too premature to just cast somebody out, as if, and just sort of be done with it from that angle. Now calling in, if I can actually, well, isn't that nice? Seems as though my...
Well, real quick, while you sort that out, I wonder if they have some sort of like program like over here in America, maybe not necessarily with, professional teams, but in the typical American workplace, you have to go through like, like a class or training, like sensitivity training type shit. I wonder if he would have to go through something like that in order to, pass on and stay at the club, that kind of a thing.
Right. Yeah, we seem to have some issues here with the old Skype. My mouse doesn't seem to want to work. Isn't that lovely? Oh, here we go. I think we have some success here. Now joining us, I think he's got his speakers way the hell up, but it's Dr. J.
Hail, boys.
How you doing, pal?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for calling in. We're just talking about banners.
Good.
Yeah, we're talking about banners.
Hey, listen, ding ding. Let's get ready to grumble. The game just ended.
Would you say it was a banner day for Celtic today?
Can I agree with you on one thing, which is I am sick and tired of just being sick and tired. Yeah. It is ridiculous. I can't take it anymore.
What are your thoughts? I mentioned there's condemnation coming from both sides that, Lee Griffiths is a racist and, we can't even have him in the team and get rid of him on one side. And then the other side is, the Green Brigade, it's just, they're all about just making statements and, I agree with them, but they're always, trying to get attention for themselves. And, I don't fuck the Green Brigade and all that. I mean, of course they're trying to get attention for themselves. They're coming in to each game that they're allowed into, trying to generate atmosphere, trying to make noise. They come with banners. I mean, to their credit, they try and liven the energy in the stadium. And I mean, for that, they should be applauded, not, vilified for it. With that being said, I don't agree with the content in their banner, or, I just think that it was ill-timed. I think that it wasn't exactly clever on their end. I mean, I think they left themselves exposed, given the fact that, like I said, in the past, they've asked for some for people to cut them some slack, and now all of a sudden it seems as though they're not ready to reciprocate. That's something that I'm a little uncomfortable with.
Well, let me ask you a question. Why does that banner have to be? Because when I looked at it, I wasn't thinking about Griffiths. Maybe that's where I'm coming from. Why can't that banner be about the club? Why can't that banner be more about, hey, listen, you want us to be Celtic. You want to believe in what it is that is to be a club, and you want all this stuff, yet, the 0-hour contracts, the living wage, all the other things. I think there's a lot more to that banner than just taking it on, than just it being about Lee. That's just my own thought. So,
well, and I think that's the power of that quote. I think that's why that quote is so powerful, because it does have a broad meaning, and it's open to a broad interpretation. I think that's a worthwhile interpretation as well. I think that most people, given the recent events with Lee Griffiths and the fact that he has done so well on the park and yet he's under some trepidation off the park, I think most people responded immediately and interpreted that to be directed specifically towards Lee Griffiths. But I just think that, in my opinion as well, there are just more pressing issues with the club just now that that I think would merit a social message on a banner, a political message, or whatever.
Oh, I'm with you. I mean, I can't find anyone rooting against Norwich more than myself right now.
Absolutely. Well, especially with their highly rated keeper, who seems to be constantly getting the fanfare and the look ahead of Fraser Forster for a spot on that plane, which is just absolutely mind-boggling. I mean, yesterday it was absolutely pathetic against Manchester United.
And in the Champions League game, or what was was the Champions League game? What did the last game that Hart played in? He get beat near post, like a rented mule. It was pathetic.
Yeah. Well,
unbelievable.
Well,
so
England keeper. I
don't care. Listen, I'm not. What I'm talking about is the more pressing thing that we have to worry about is what's going to happen with Lenny and this whole Norwich thing. Now there might be something and there might not be. With Johan leaving, that's more of an issue for me to worry about what the entirety of the coaching staff looks like. So, I mean, to me, that's more of a pressing issue than worrying about whether or not the Green Brigade put up a banner. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're there. They put the banner up. The banner lasted 15 seconds. People either cheered or they didn't. And then the game was on. And then the important part started.
And then Twitter exploded. Got an email.
I don't know if you noticed it today. I read when I saw the banner, I was like, "Oh, that's cute." And then I just turned it off.
Yeah.
But you see here now. Here's the thing. This is what I get a kick out of the most about that quote. I showed it to my son. My son and his one of his teammates spent the night last night, and I got up in the morning and last night his buddy's a Chelsea fan and his dad's a Liverpool fan for reasons we won't go into. But as we were chatting last night, he's like, "Oh well, Liverpool plays at 9:05." I said, "That's great, but this TV would be on at 9:55 with Celtic, Inverness." And he's like, "Oh, why?" And I'm like, "Oh well, here's what this why." And A, I pay the fucking rent here, and B, it's my goddamn computer. But
get off my lawn.
You get off my lawn, kid. No. But during the game, that came up, and I showed it to him, and he's like, "Wow, that's they're like, wow, that's really an interesting." That's a powerful comment that it means that much. And I'm like, yeah, you would never, ever see a sign like that at a Chelsea game.
Well, no, especially with a player like John Terry, the brave John Terry.
Yeah, if you really want to look at the bad side of things, that would be one of them. It's not Lee Griffith saying refugee. But anyway, so when you look at it that way, what I'm and you see the kids and they're just like, oh, that was a fun thing to watch. And it's funny that you mentioned that with Rev, and Rev's got guests over too. It's funny, and they're like, "Oh, this is how all games go." It's funny because that's what he's like. Oh, wow, are these guys any good? And I'm like, he's international. He's going to the World Cup. And he's like, I had no idea. And that's the part where a kid goes, oh wow, I could watch this. These guys play really, really well. That's the part that we should be talking about. Absolutely. The fact that the 6 goals. And it should have been 10. Their goalkeeper made 4 or 5 remarkable saves. Brill was basically for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes was brilliant for them.
He commanded the box extremely well as well. I mean,
he had no choice. I mean, his defender should have bought him a flak jacket for Christmas, but for as many shots as he took.
Sure.
But as far as that goes, I mean, that should be the point. That's why I saw, why the negative. I don't get it. I mean,
I'm done with it.
They have every right to have their opinion, no different than you and I. And if they don't like it, they can get on the show and call, or they can start their own podcast. Who gives a shit? Moving on.
Exactly. I want to read out an email. The subject line was, I love listening to 3 American wankers! ! ! ! Hail, Graham. Absolutely loved your last show with Paul. Exciting, dramatic, but more importantly, fun. And just good Celtic banter and discussion between fellow Tims. Never underestimate how privileged I feel as a Celtic fan to have you guys in America supporting our great club. The passion you guys have is truly inspiring, and your tactical knowledge is way beyond mine. Too kind. I'm more of a run fast, score goals type of guy. Anyway, love the show in general, and just wanted to let you know that you have no need to apologize about being an American wanker. Thank you. However, I did listen to your Desert Island Tims with Billy Noel, and you do really need to apologize about your taste in music. That's kind of a dick move. Just kidding. Each to their own in that regard. Let's just say our musical tastes are totally different. It was nice to hear a wee bit about you and how you discovered the Celts, though. Hail, and stop playing yourselves down. God bless us all. Danny, a.k.a. Teddy Boy on Spreaker. Thank you so much, Danny, a.k.a. Teddy Boy. Fantastic email. And, listening back to the show last week with Paul was... we just love having Paul Larkin on the show. I mean, he's such a huge asset to... the Celtic supporting community, and his project that he's working on just now is explosive. Of course, the Astro Skiers documentary. I think they had an event last night at the Neil Mockin CSC. By all accounts, it was a fantastic time. So all the best to Paul, and thanks again to him for coming on. Let's talk about the game.
By the way, how lucky is Paul? This Rangers story keeps giving him new fucking material every week. I had to say that.
No question about it.
I had to put that out there.
It is just absolutely the gift that keeps on giving. And I mean, it's like he can finish up this project, which details the ills and the struggles and the downfall of Rangers themselves before they died. And now, I mean, there's just a whole laundry list of topics to pick up on with Sevco. For the sequel.
How ironic is it, Graham, that Paul can take credit card donations and Rangers can't?
There's always PayPal.
There's always PayPal. Wonga.
We are the PayPal.
We are the PayPal. That's exactly right.
Fantastic.
Anyway, so the game. So can I talk about the game? Can we talk about the game?
Well, let me throw this out there because my first sort of reaction is we love Stokesy here. Okay, we have a song
Yes.
that Harper did that explains. I mean, just and graphic, musical, whatever you want to call it, but just passion that we love Stokesy. And there's Stokesy gets a lot of stick. I mean, and I think a lot of it comes from his sort of off the field endeavors, actions, whatever. I mean, I think that a lot of people are quick to condemn anything that has to do with an Irish political element of some sort. And Stokesy's never been one to shy away from it. In my opinion, I think that he has every right to do that. We talk about freedom and, et cetera. He's Irish, so I think that if anybody has the right to be engaged in these sort of issues, he does. Regardless of the fact that he plays in Scotland, and Scotland has this impression that anything having to do with Irish politics is bad to the point where we're going to make it illegal. But I digress. Comes out with a hat trick today. And I mean, just the haters. What are the haters doing at this point? This is several weeks in a row. With blips here and there, where Stokesy has really, to say he's on form is a drastic understatement. I mean, it just seems as though Lee Griffiths coming in has really given him new life. I think, sparked the sort of imaginative element in Stokesy's game. I hate this expression, but it does apply here, to express himself, to try and get forward, to try and raise the tempo. And I think that there's an instinctive understanding between Lee Griffiths and Anthony Stokes that's developing week on week that we saw at times with Stokesy and Gary Hooper. And it's exciting to see. Your thoughts?
Today I thought he was immense, and the best part is with Commons playing a little bit more in the top of that diamond, and not even I guess with and it really isn't a diamond anymore if you're putting Stokes and Griffiths up front, but him playing more of the forward in that almost 4-4-2. Yeah. What you're looking at there is you give him the ability to do things like he did in the Cup final a couple of years ago, where he was able to go ahead and feed Hooper, and everyone said, "Oh, he's back," and he did the same things today. And earlier in the year, we even talked, and I'm guilty of this. I said, "Hey, listen, we need to go ahead and ring the box with a dog, with a invisible fence, and make him stay inside there. Anytime he got near it, he'd get shocked and wouldn't allow to go outside the box." And I said that, and when he was supposed to be that poacher, it didn't work for him, and I think that really really was not his game. And now you can see him getting out wide and bringing the ball in, and then him bringing the ball in, and taking more of the opportunistic attack that Samaras was supposed to do for us, and then be able to go ahead and finish off goals when he's in position. Yeah. Which Samaras is, has had a few, I guess, 5 last year in Champions League, quote unquote, qualifying to game time. But through all that, you're looking at Griffiths now has outscored Samaras already in less than 3 months. Yeah. And over the course of the whole year. So, you look at that ability to strike and to go, and Commons giving up 2 goals for Stokesy today. You look at and you see this ability and this amount of, how can you say, we'll call it to be cocksure, this almost cockiness that he has now. Uh-huh. To be, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? He's just got this swagger about him now that he's going to just, control what's going on at the top of the box for the club. And with Griffiths, he knows he can do it. And plus, don't forget, hey, by the way, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, sorry, but I think that's I'm making my own.
Hello.
Damn it. All right, is that better?
Hello? I can hear you fine the whole time. Please continue.
Sorry. So my point is that I'm hearing myself twice.
Are you getting an echo?
That I think that Stokes has that ability, and he's really beginning to show it, and he's really beginning to come across as that person, and that we all expect him to become at the end of the last year with the Cup final. So I'm happy to see it.
Hang on, I'm going to adjust my microphone and see if that hopefully helps with the echo. Let me know if that helps on your end.
More better.
Okay, fantastic.
So can I tell you one more thing? And
please.
Guess who scored today because he wore a Yankee hat earlier in the week?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, go ahead.
Nothing. I'm done.
see, Rev, this is where you need to step in with your, with your little bits.
I don't have the computer anymore, and it's not synced up.
Oh,
did you hear it, Dr. J? When he started
that's
the
what
show?
I thought it was for.
Okay. a little bit of both.
You two are very
a little
cute.
bit of both.
You two are so cute.
The best was me reading it back this morning when we saw the goal. Me reading it back reading back Sean the Tank's tweet.
Sean the Tank.
For my son earlier. He's like, "Oh, Pookie scored." I said, "Isn't this great?" And I showed Max the picture. See, he's a Yankee fan too.
Oh,
and Max goes, "Oh, Graham will be happy about that."
That's bad parenting. Got some feedback on Twitter. Disagree about the criticism of Stokes. This is from Canine Doug on Twitter. Disagree about the criticism of Stokes. He can be an infuriating player. His greed can really be detrimental to the team. Listen, if his greed is going to lead to a hat trick every game and put us on pace to score 100 goals while getting 100 points in the league, then by all means, please, Stokesy, continue with the greed. Greed is good. Gordon Gekko, just do it.
That's a funny comment. I don't. And I mean, once again, I'm not going to go all Green Brigade on him and tell him he's wrong, but. His 3 goals today, one was a header off a corner, beautiful. The other one was a layoff from Commons that I'm sure actually was almost a whiff by Commons. And then the next one, Commons gave him the ball. He didn't ask for it. So, I mean, where was the greed? It wasn't like he was running in and the ball was going in anyway and he tapped it in to get his third.
Well, and I listen, from a striker, especially from a poacher, from such an attacking threat, I want greed. I want the striker to be greedy. I want the striker to go out there and say, "Give me the ball. I'm putting in the back of the net." And I don't want somebody that sort of shirks from the responsibility or somebody that hides from the ball. That's been my criticism of Pookie. And look at how many goals he scored, and look at how many goals Stokesy scored. I mean,
don't forget, we're giving Stokesy grief when he was not the person to be in the position he was actually in.
How do you mean?
I think that's what might be what it might be referring to, because go back to December or January, when it was the Chris Commons show, and we're all calling for Stokesy to be a little more proactive and take the shots, but then he does it, but whether because he wasn't the type of player, he was put in the wrong role on the field, that he's trying to take these shots and stuff and trying to force things, from his perspective, and goals weren't going in the net, for that time.
Rev, Rev, I want to validate your point. If you go back, I think it was November, you go back to Celtic TV, the goals of the month, not one of them was a striker.
Yeah. I can picture the, how we were at that time. And yeah, that's what it was, like the whole season up until the
Griffiths until
the window. Yeah, it was all Chris Commons.
Yeah, exactly. And even now looking at how the season progressed, they still scored almost have 100 chance to score 100 goals this year. The amount of goals they scored this year was amazing, but
in spite of not having,
I guess we need strong Rangers.
In spite of behave yourself. In spite of not having an out-and-out striker, I mean, I think that is a great point. Canine Doug follows up and he says that said, he is on fire just now. Which, I mean, what do you want? What do you want from a striker? I want a striker that's going to go out there and be greedy and try and create and try and make things happen. I mean, not everything's going to be a tap-in, and I think that. He's being he's imaginative. I think he's embracing sort of the creative element that's really been given to him because of Lee Griffiths and because of Lee Griffiths makes some fantastic runs. He has such an I can't believe I'm saying this. It's such a contrast from 4 months ago when we brought him in. I didn't think he was up to par. I thought that we should be setting ourselves higher. I was completely wrong. He's got a football brain and a striker's mentality where it's almost like he doesn't need to think about it. He just does it. and it makes other players better. I mean, I think that's what separates a good player from a great player. A great player comes in, and not only do they do good things themselves, but they make other players better in addition. And I think he's a huge asset, and I think that I think he's going to be an important part of the club going forward. I do hope that these off the field issues do tend to mellow out. I think that he needs to learn from Stokesy. I mean, I think Stokesy would be a good tutor in terms of how to conduct yourself, and what you're going to have to put up with, considering you have previous. I mean, Stokesy came in, and even when he first came in, he had a bit of a reputation, having some previous off the park issues, etc. And then, here and there he's had, he goes to a friend of his funeral, and then Twitter goes into a meltdown, and, the mainstream media, has an orgasm. And anytime Stokesy jaywalks, and it's like, an Irish Republican walking across the street,
He is kind of accused of punching someone in the face.
Yeah, but
even still, listen, I don't think there's anyone listening to this podcast, minus probably my boy PL, who really lives in that type of fishbowl, who can really, really say whether or not you have the ability to put that off, or have the ability to escape that kind of scrutiny to the point where someone busts in your balls and you punch them in the face. There's a lot of that stuff out there.
Allegedly,
allegedly. I said accused. And to me, I'm sure. And as I say that, and as I hear you say your thing about Lee, immediately my mind goes into what PL's thinking at this point in time. Because I know he's listening. I know he's saying right now, please, guys, don't fuck up, because you're ruining the amount of money I'm going to get for you when I go to sell you next year. So,
Let me tell you something. Anthony Stokes and Lee Griffiths are going nowhere. Nobody is paying money for either of them.
Listen, he keeps scoring goals like that. Plus, by the way, have you noticed, between him and Johansson, they both have the left foot of God on them, that they can catch anything from anywhere. You throw a dart at either one of them, and they'll catch it between their toes.
Let's talk about Johansson here for a minute. I'm glad that you brought that up. What an exceptional signing once again from the depths of nowhere. Who heard of Stefan Johansson? I thought that was a tennis player. Prior to him coming. He plays, over Scandinavia, et cetera, et cetera. He comes in, and it's like hand in glove. It wasn't even like, we talked a bit with Paul last week about, sometimes these players come in, they need, half a season or a full season before they can fully get bedded in. He steps in, and it's like he's been here for his entire life. And the thing that stood out to me today, as you pointed out, 4-4-2 diamond, once again, I think that we're really rolling with this formation, having the fullbacks provide the width, and having Adam Matthews back in. It's no surprise, and it's no secret that once we get proper right backs, proper fullbacks in, Adam Matthews, Michael Lustig, all of a sudden, it's like you turn the spigot on. So much of the supply line comes from the fullbacks creating width, either from their own service or from dragging defenders and midfielders out of position and opening up space for other players. But with that, you need to have a stable foundation in the middle of the park to create some cover for your center halves, especially when we're playing such a high line. With that, in the diamond formation today, it seemed as though Mulgrew was playing in the hole, as he typically does. Scott Brown on the right-hand side, he tends to wander, and that left so much space for Stefan Johansson to cover, and he did it so well. Anytime Inverness got the ball, dispossessed, whatever, and they're up on the break, Johansson's running 40, 50 yards, after people, slowing the play down, breaking it up. He ran
too.
Absolutely. Well, and that's
too.
And that's
amazing.
the thing. That's the thing that I love about Griffiths. He presses so high up. There are no easy outlet balls for an opposition center half to play out. If we're going up against a team that's trying to keep the ball on the ground and play the ball up through the middle of the park, forget it.
He's going to catch it.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's going to put so much pressure.
Forrest was watching today. I hope James Forrest was watching today. Because it's going to be fucking hard for him to get back in that team. Especially when he falls on the ground, throws his toys out of the pram, and then bitches that he didn't get a call.
Yeah, but
and then doesn't track back.
Yeah, but
he's going to be. It's going to be tough for him.
Yeah, but what? Is that really his role, though? Look. The book is out about.
He's a midfielder. He's supposed to track back.
Yeah, but the book is
Lee's
out
a striker. He's
about him, though. He doesn't track back. That is a weakness. But having him in the side, in my opinion, I think when you have him in the side, it's just for that quick first step, beat the first man, take the ball down the byline, and whip it in. Now, granted, he does tend to drift more centrally. I think the thing that's going to – I think that – hang on. Let me finish. I think that the thing that's really keeping him out and has kept him out, aside from the injuries that he's picked up, has been Chris Commons for him. Because I think that James Forrest, when he first came into the team, he was an out-and-out winger. It was providing width, taking the ball, down the wings. Occasionally he cut back and put a shot in on goal, and I think that's really his biggest strong suit as compared to Aiden McGeady. I think he has more power on a shot, and he's more of a threat from just outside the box, and especially in that link-up sort of scenario. He doesn't quite have the tricks that McGeady does in terms of beating a man, but he does, and I guess he continues to. I mean, remains to be seen, have that bit of pace, that burst of speed, in the first 5 yards that can really throw an opposing fullback off skelter. But he's never been a great defender. I don't think that he ever is going to be, that great defender. I mean, it's a bit of the Sammy about him. Sammy, what you're getting with Sammy. I mean, it's an out ball down the left, and he's going to try and stretch the defense out. I think Jamesy does something a bit similar, and I don't know that sort of listen, I agree with you in terms of, do I want him to track back? Do I want him to try and break up play? Absolutely. But I just don't think he's that type of player. I don't think he ever will be.
He's going to have a hard time finding his way back in that team unless he's going to do a last 15 to 20 minute starring role. I
don't disagree. But I think there's a lot more to it than just his fallibility in terms of tracking back and slowing our opposition down. Jamesy in front of Michael Lustig. I mean, why would you need the track back? Michael Lustig is a house. I mean, I've been saying this for 4 months. I'd rather see Lustig and Matthews for this reason. They're interchangeable. Take your run. I'm not losing anything on the defensive side when Lustig goes forward and the midfielder falls back into that space. I don't think you're wrong,
unbeatable.
I don't think that. I don't think it's a stretch to imagine that's going to be the scenario over Jamesy just coming straight back into the lineup. I think that Jamesy would have an easier time coming back in if God forbid something happened to Chris Commons, where Chris Commons picked up an injury or something.
That's a difference, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jamesy would find his way back.
If you look forward into qualification, man, I'll tell you what, I like Lustig back there. I like Matthews in front of him, like they did when we were going against AC Milan. And then you have to look at what you're going to do with Baton or Mulgrew.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
because the truth is, with Griffiths now and his ability to cross, I mean, he's been taking the corners. I mean, and Commons has been taking a lot of the set pieces too. And with Van Dijk's ability to hit set pieces, I mean, Mulgrew is, I mean, I love him and everything, he has a really cool song, but Baton, wow, I like this problem.
Absolutely, it's a great problem. And I think Baton, he's young. He's sort of listen. Baton is a classy player, and I think he has a lot of upside. And I quite frankly, I don't think he would be a step down at all if say Mulgrew wasn't ready to go, he wasn't fit, whatever. If we were lacking in options, I'm perfectly happy having Baton in there. And I don't think that we're so deep at that central midfield position. I mean, we've talked about it where. That is probably the toughest place right now if you are to pick up a knock, unless you're Charlie Mulgrew. If you pick up a knock, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to see your way back into the starting 11, because during that time when you're going through rehabilitation, recovery, trying to get your fitness and your form back, there's somebody else in there that's having a brilliant performance, and you become an afterthought. I'd like to see. I would love to see more of that in other positions. Striker would be that would be a fantastic ability, or place to have. But striker, that tends to be the type of situation where you can quantify what the player is doing, and therefore they become more marketable. Let's say Griffiths goes down to injury, he's out for several months, and then Pookie comes in and he's scoring goals for fun, left, right, and center. Well, then you start talking about, okay, well, who's expendable here, and what can we get for either Pookie or Griffiths to move them on. Whereas with a central midfielder, it's much more subjective and it's much more system dependent. I don't think that every central midfielder that comes through at Celtic and plays in a certain way is going to be right for every system. I don't think that every scout or manager that looks at, maybe a player like Johansson, maybe a player like Charlie Mulgrew, great example, Scott Brown, are going to see that same level of value, and therefore they're just not as marketable.
Can you hear me? Is the connection bad?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I thought you said something about Pookie scoring goals for fun, and I thought I slipped into a parallel universe. Sorry,
Rev, you're getting an echo from me.
No, I hear you clear.
Okay, it's Doc that you're getting the echo from.
You said something about Pookie and scoring and goals and for fun, and
listen,
I was like, "What?"
Listen, I thought listen. You brought up Cocksure earlier. I thought you got a copy of Rev's thesaurus. Okay, look up hypothetical, in that thesaurus, and then come up with whatever word you want. Okay, I'm just
look up wishful thinking.
Just to use an example. Maybe some examples are more believable than others. I chose that one.
Optimism.
Let's talk about Neil Lennon. Obviously, some conversation now coming up.
Come on, Cardiff.
In light of the fact that in light of the fact that we got the news this week that Johan Mjällby is leaving at the end of this season under certain circumstances. Obviously, the natural reaction is, oh, is this the precursor to Neil Lennon leaving? Johan leaves. And, he's been such an integral part of Neil Lennon's staff from day one, along with Alan Thompson, who's obviously no longer with the club for, a variety of reasons. And, now it always seemed, though, as if Johan and Lennon were just connected at the hip. I mean, that was just a partnership that, was unbreakable. And now to see that being broken, it led a lot of people to think, well, this is the clarion call. Lennon's gone in the summer. I don't think so. I have some information that points to the fact that there's been a bit of a falling out between Lennon and Mjällby professionally. And it happens. In a professional environment such as this, and even Neil Lennon came out and he said a lot of the right things in the press conferences afterward, where he was being asked, what are you looking for in a future assistant manager? He said, I want somebody that isn't going to be a yes man, who's going to be able to challenge, my thinking, and, obviously the decision's mine in the end. I think there may have been a buildup of, maybe a difference in opinions in certain circumstances. Obviously, that's going to lead to some frustration. And again, we're talking about hypotheticals here, but, the word is that there was a bit of a falling out. I don't think it's overly serious, but, it's just a situation where I think Johan Mjällby wants to test his own mettle in the managerial realm, if you will. I think that, he wants to get a job, a big chair someplace, maybe back in Scandinavia. It's been publicized that, obviously he has 2 kids in college just now, isn't seeing a whole lot of them at the moment, and that's probably difficult for him as well. So, I'm not going to read too much into this as if, that means Neil Lennon's gone. I think Neil Lennon stays, at least based on current evidence. A lot can change, but a lot of this, publicity or oxygen or attention that has come towards, if Norwich go down, that might be a perfect job for Lennon, especially given the rumors that Lennon was, being looked at for the Norwich job anyway, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. First off, I think that if you were to leave Celtic for Norwich, I think that's a step down, especially if they get relegated, as I believe they will. Your thoughts here, Rev? Let me hear from you first in terms of Johan Mjällby leaving the club. Obviously, great servant to the club, not just as a manager but also as a player. Such fond memories from him. What's your thinking in terms of how this sort of relates to Neil Lennon's predicament? I mean, do you feel as if this is a litmus test, or is the writing on the wall that maybe Neil Lennon's going to follow him? If not, who are some of your candidates for a potential assistant coach that you'd like to see Neil Lennon bring in?
I mean, I'm not really reading too much into it. I'm taking it pretty much as at face value that it's just, it's been a couple of years they've been together, and, you kind of, you don't want it to stagnate. You want to keep stuff fresh. And, if Mialby's got stuff going on personally, like with his family, wants to see his kids and go back home, that's fine. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think there's bad blood or anything like that. And it happens, You can only be at a place like this. It's the nature of the business and the lifestyle. So that's it. As far as replacements, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I'm expecting, somebody, maybe a former player that Lenny played with. That kind of seems to be his MO for his staff. Maybe, would I like to see? Henrik Larsson, why not? Would it happen? No, I doubt it. But hey, you can dream.
Yeah.
But no, other than that, I don't know. I'm just, wait and see. I don't think he's out the door. Definitely not this summer. No sooner than he would be, otherwise, which I still don't think would be anytime soon.
Agreed. There are two sides to this. There are a lot of sides to it. One of the elements that enters into it is how much demand is out there for Neil Lennon. And I'm not talking about paper talk. I'm talking about genuine, real interest in bringing Neil Lennon to an English side, be it in the championship or the premiership. I'm not so sure there is a great deal of that. I think that, as recent weeks have pointed to, there may be a bit of a malaise toward British managers. The eyes tend to be turning more towards, continental replacements for many of these managers. Think back a couple of years ago, there were 6 Scottish managers in the Premiership, and many of them were Glaswegians. Now all of a sudden, the only one that's left is Paul Lambert. So, these sort of feelings and trends, they tend to blow with the wind, but there is a momentum with it where it seems as though many parties sort of carry the same type of belief or mentality with it. Who knows? But Dr. J, let me turn it over to you in terms of potential replacements for Johan Mjällby. Who's on your short list? Henrik Larsson, I think, is probably one of the first of all of us to think about. It'd just be amazing to have him around Celtic Park on a regular basis once again. I've talked in past shows about his impact when he's even just come in, for a week or maybe a couple of days to work with the strikers, and the effect that he's had. Imagine having that on a permanent basis with a striker as explosive and as deadly, as dangerous as Lee Griffiths.
I don't know. I'm more worried about Neil staying. I have not given it one thought. When I saw that Johan said he was going to go, I was like, okay. And that moving on, I'm more worried. I literally am more worried about what happens if Norwich go down or not. And to me, that's it, because if they stay up, I think Neil jumps, and I don't think they're going to get any points because they're already in the zone now. So I don't think it's going to change for them. And I think they're going to go down. I think that to me is what I'm more worried about. I've watched more EPL in the last couple of weeks, rooting for Cardiff to get a point, or Southampton to get a point and do something. And that's it. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'm not into managers. I know more about whether or not I want him to stay, whether I want him to stay. And our conversation a couple of weeks ago about who's left to fill in if something happens, I think we look at that and say, well, who's he going to pick? I hopefully he picks somebody, regardless of who it is, because if he doesn't pick somebody, that means he's picking somebody to go fill in a spot at Norwich. And that worries me much more than who's his number 2.
He's not going to Norwich. It's just,
I'm just saying
it's not happening. I just don't think, like I said, I don't think that there's the demand there for him. The other elements that enter into this, obviously, is there a demand for Neil Lennon? And then is there a demand from Neil Lennon? Is there a desire from Neil Lennon to go to a particular place? I don't know if Neil Lennon would want to go to a championship side, especially leaving, a club like Celtic, who, are in the midst of, in my opinion, a furious rebuilding. I think, the sort of rebuilding that's taken place in the second half of the season is really going to hold us in good stead, not just for the qualifiers over the summer, but also for a potential European campaign and going for the treble once again. I think that that's really high up on his wish list to put on his CV. So few managers have done that in Scottish football generally, and most certainly with Celtic as well. I think that's something that is a big goal for him, and he's never going to get a better opportunity, I think, than this season upcoming. So, getting back to that point, is there a desire? I'm not so sure. Neil Lennon wants to leave at this point. Then the other element that plays into it is his employer, the PLC, the board. Do they want him to go? Do they want him to sort of I guess, do they want to push him out? And I'm not so sure. I think that's a dangerous one, from the PLC standpoint. I think that's a slippery slope, and it puts them in a challenging predicament where if his replacement falls flat on his face, i.e. Tony Mowbray, they have a lot to answer for. Whereas if Neil Lennon were to leave on his own, I think that's a much safer proposition, for that.
Yeah, you bring it up. You bring up the PLC, and you start making their mind wonder.
Yeah.
About dollar signs. Who could he get? Who could Neil get that's going to help him European in competition to prepare better? And I think the first thing is already done for him. We won't have Samara, so the first thing of preparing will not be his issue. So that'd be good. Anyway, moving on. Wouldn't it be easier for the PLC to look at him and say, "Listen, why don't you just move McGrain to your number 2, and then bring up, John Kennedy, and then go ahead and we'll find somebody else for the under 21s, and then go from there, the U20, sorry, and then go from there." And because it wouldn't cost him anything.
Yeah.
And who's going to give you more European experience than what McGrain's gone through as far as playing games, understanding? So I don't know, man. You look at that, and I'm more, like I said, I'm more worried about Norwich going down because I'd love to see what the exit strategy is for Snodgrass and Hooper. What does it cost to get them out of their contracts if they get relegated?
Well, that's a great point. And before we move on to that, let me throw out some names. Who I've gotten some information. In terms of who's on the short list. One name that may be sort of out of left field and surprising to some. It was certainly surprising to me hearing it. Is Alan Stubbs, who is currently coaching the Everton reserves. Obviously, a former Celtic player. I'm not really too familiar with his background, his philosophy, his way of thinking, but I know that that's one name that's sort of being bandied about, and it's interesting, and it merits further investigation. Henrik Larsson has been, I think that's a non-starter. Neil Lennon came out in a press conference this week and fully admitted that he would doubt. It would be amazing to have him, but he would doubt that he would want to play second fiddle to anybody, and that's definitely going to be a limiting factor. Another name who has some managerial experience himself is Chris Sutton. And I think that we have a big time gap in terms of coaches that can come in and be an asset, be a resource for our forwards, for our strikers, and our more attack-minded players. And having Chris Sutton in there, especially the way that he played. He did so many great things back to goal, and that's something that I think we are definitely missing, especially in the European games when we're trying to link up, when we're trying to get some sort of tempo and build. I think that Chris Sutton would definitely.
Hey, Graham, can I say something real quick?
Sure.
What's funny? You say these names, and none of these names really scream European coaching success.
Did Neil Lennon scream European coaching success when...
No, he doesn't. But that's the reason why I would like a number 2 to come in and help him. On the flip side, if you want a coach, go get a strike. Bring Sutton in. Let him be the strikers coach. Let's bring Larsson in. Let him be the strikers coach. It doesn't have to be number 2. Isn't that basically what they did with Danny McGrain? We need help with the defenders. Here, you go play with the defenders. Great. If you look at American baseball, it's the same exact thing. We have a batting coach, we have a pitching coach, we have a catcher's coach, we have a first base infield coach, we have an outfield coach. The assistant manager is going to be the person that has a certain level of experience, maybe in all of them. Obviously, jack of all trades, master of none. But in the managerial standpoint, to be the jack of all trades and then the decider of who plays. to me, that would be something that I would look for. If you're going to say, let's go get a number 2 for him, then, that's the reason why I'm thinking money, because it's going to cost money to bring someone with European experience to help Lenny.
I mean, in terms of the wages that you'd need to pay them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that's why I don't see it. That's why I see them bringing someone up from the bottom.
Yeah.
And that's why I see that. Because what's the point of bringing someone who doesn't have any European experience in managing a team or coaching a team to a level? If you say, hey, listen, we got the second assistant coach from Chelsea or Bayern Munich or something like that to come in and be the number 2 here.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen.
But that would be, if you're going to go out and get a number 2, that's what I would think you would want, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, I want a Ferrari, but it's not going to happen. When we have resources at our disposal, and
that's exactly my point.
Well, but it doesn't. But we don't have enough resources to bring in, as you mentioned. I mean, one of the upper echelon number 2s, but that doesn't mean that we don't need to bring in. Okay, we can't afford, one of those types of coaches, so we just won't get any coaches. I mean, we have to get somebody.
Bring them. I have no problem bringing them, but don't call. I mean, what's the point of calling them a number 2?
Well, because they have a lot more utility than just the European outlets. I mean, it's about developing the players, and at the end of the day, I mean, I think that Neil Lennon's played and managed enough in Europe now where I think he has a concept of what he needs to do going up against certain sides. The groups that he's faced, not just in the Champions League the past couple of years, but also that Europa League group that we had, the one season. I think, I think he's really built up his wherewithal and his, aptitude in terms of dealing with it. And let's also not forget, I mean, a number 2 doesn't need to be that sort of linchpin or the key that opens up European success. Danny McGrain, I mean, we're talking about Danny McGrain, and granted, he's not the number 2 at the moment, but I mean, he certainly has input and feedback, and Danny McGrain's 1 degree separated from Jock Steen, who is the most decorated Celtic manager in a European theater. So, I think there's a lot of feedback that can come from a lot of different places, and it doesn't necessarily need to be that number 2. Personally, I'd be fine with a number 2 that can come in and convince Neil Lennon of making a substitution before the 65th minute. But, I think there's a lot of criteria and a lot of factors that need to be weighed into this, and it's probably going to take some time. I would guess maybe by early June, I would hope that they would have an announcement of somebody to bring in. I think the preference amongst the support, many elements of the support would be an ex-Celtic player. And I think it would be great to have, another one of the key players from the time that Neil Lennon was with the club. I mean, and I think that follows Neil Lennon's comfort level in terms of, who he brought in originally, Alan Thompson, Johan Mjällby. The one, in my opinion, I mean, John Hartson isn't going to leave the Sun, which is a nice paying job for him, and God bless him for taking on that effort. But I think that Chris Sutton it's a head scratcher as to why he currently isn't a part of this. Henrik Larsson, you can rationalize, and say, well, he's got his sights set on the big chair, and more power to him, more glory to him. But I think that it makes a lot of sense to put Chris Sutton's name out there. But you very well may be right. I mean, there's a lot of logic in what you're saying especially in terms of the precedent that the PLC has. In terms of making decisions on a cost-effective measure. And to your point, the most cost-effective measure, very well may be promoting from within.
Yeah, speculative measure, speculative.
Yes. Let's get to another topic here that also involves Norwich. It's the Celtic Norwich family. It's back. Carrow Road, just longing for days of yore. So, Robert Snodgrass is a name that is starting to be bandied about, especially in light of the fact that, we've talked about Norwich. I firmly believe they're getting relegated. Snodgrass has made no qualms or queries about his desire to play for Celtic. He grew up a mile from Celtic Park. He's a massive Celtic fan. I think he would definitely be up for coming to Celtic. If they get relegated, we could perhaps be able to bring him in on a reduced transfer fee, which would be handy. And I think that he would probably accept a bit of a wage cut. And I think he's the type of player that, paired with, and in terms of his skill level, his technique, and his work rate. I mean, he never gives up. He never stops working. You put him, in a supportive role just behind Lee Griffiths. Oof. As Rocky Bats would say, mud on to me. That would be phenomenal. I got a tweet yesterday that was very interesting. Rev, let me ask you, and then Dr. J, I want to hear your thoughts on this as well. Got a tweet yesterday. If we could get Gary Hooper and Robert Snodgrass for $8 million in the summer, do you pull the trigger?
Both of them for $8 million?
Yes.
That's a toughie. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know much about Robert Snodgrass. I mean, you just told me more in the last 30 seconds than I really knew about him previous.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't pay attention to EPL. I mean, getting
yes,
them.
The answer is yes. That means you're getting Snodgrass for $3 million. Yes,
right. That's what I was gonna say. Just looking at Gary Hooper for that price and another player, it seems like it would be doable. I mean, I'm not too crazy about really bringing someone back kind of so soon after he wanted to leave. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's more of coming back like tail between the legs type thing or whatever. I mean, him as a player, can we use him? Absolutely, definitely. He can walk right into this team.
Yeah, we know that.
Especially if we're gonna throw a little speculation on about how things might play out with Lee Griffiths if that goes south, and we need he came in as Gary Hooper's replacement, and who else better to replace Gary Hooper's replacement than Gary Hooper, But
good point. Very good point.
Talking about it more, think about it more. I mean, sure, why not?
And and that's another element that we really need to take into consideration in this transfer window. You might think, great, got the striker position, fully lined up. I mean, we have Balde and Pukki as a backup to Stokes and Griffiths, but it's sort of the 10th man role. For those who have seen the movie World War Z, where if 9 guys sitting around a table all agree on a particular thing, it's the job of the 10th man to disagree and lobby this sort of devil's advocate point. Let's say this Lee Griffiths thing doesn't play out. Let's say, over the summer, he's out on the piss and he does something incredibly stupid and says something racist or, punches somebody in the face and he's run out of chances or let's say it happens in October. And he finds himself arrested or whatever. And I'm not speculating. I'm not saying that that's even likely. But let's just play devil's advocate because there is a precedent for it, and say that
Stokes
happens.
For that matter.
Or Stokes for that matter. Yeah. Absolutely. Let's say that if something happens, and I'm not saying it's likely, but if it does, it would be wise of us to have something there. To protect against that. If we're in the middle of a European campaign and then all of a sudden Lee Griffiths is no longer available, we're right back to this past fall. And we all know how that turned out. But how much would that suck? We go, say, the first game or two in September, we get a cheeky away win or something like that, and we're, sitting pretty towards the top of the group table, and then, we lose one of our main strikers halfway through the group stage, and we're fucked.
Yeah, look what happened with Matthews.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm with you. Listen, man, you do it today, and then you go ahead and you go to Pookie and you go to Balde's locker and you go, guys, just tell me where you want to go. You want to go somewhere warm? Wherever you want to go, I'll send you. We have a travel agent right here.
We are David Beckham starting. David Beckham starting a new MLS team.
Yours is to go.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll put it in a nice bag for you with your name on it. And David Beckham starting an MLS team in Miami. I hear it's lovely there.
Exactly, and you're more than welcome to go ahead and take care. In fact, we'll probably sell Pookie to NYFC. That way, you can wear your hat. But you can go anytime you want to go.
That was such a dick move on several different levels.
He needs to go. I mean, PL needs to. If that deal comes available and you can get those two for $8 million. Thank you very much. I bring him back, and the other part is this: if you watch the Commons Q&A that's on Celtic TV, it's pretty funny. It's between Commons pining for Hooper and between poor Adam and his high-pitched voice. Has he hit puberty yet? Actually, pining for Joe Ledley to come back. It's not that it's comical. I think it really it says something about how much and how close that locker room was, and how much they really do like each other. And if it were me, I bring him back. His experiment's done. He missed his chance to go to the World Cup. He's not going to go when he's 30. This was his one shot. He scored. Didn't he break a record for Norwich? He scored 4 goals in 4 games, or 4 straight games was a record for a Norwich player or something. He scored a handful of goals in the Champions League. I mean, in the EPL, he scored against Manchester United. Yeah, good for you. Let's move on. And he didn't get it, so come back, get your medals, play in the Champions League, score 60 goals a season, and let's go.
I don't think you will.
I have no problem with that at all.
I don't think you will.
None.
I think that, I think that, and I'm trying to read into Gary Hooper's mentality. I could be completely wrong, but I just think that too much water's passed under the bridge, and I don't think that it's the type of thing where you can go back. I don't think that he'd feel comfortable coming back. I mean, it would almost be like throwing out the white flag and just admitting failure. He always had his sights set on playing in the Premiership. He has. It's not seeming to be turning out the way that he had hoped it would. They have a new manager now who, I mean, the fact that he didn't get on the park yesterday until, the 80th minute, and they're 3-0 down. I mean, Ricky Van Wolfswinkel, I thought that was Vanilla Ice's name, by the way, but he just doesn't seem to be in the future plans for Norwich. And quite frankly, I'm not so sure how many other Premiership clubs would be in for him. It would be
That's my point.
Sort of aching to get him. I think it's the type of situation where he's going to wind up back in the Championship, and I'm not necessarily so sure that he'd be inclined to come back. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. Because it would be great to have him back. We know the sort of damage he can do, but it remains to be seen. At the bare minimum, and Neil Lennon in certain ways, and sort of with plausible deniability at bay, he doesn't want to be guilty of tapping up or anything like that, but he has indicated that he'd love to have Robert Snodgrass at Celtic. Robert Snodgrass himself has said he'd love to come to Celtic. He's said that he'd take a wage cut to come back. And he's just the type of player that I think we could, especially on a European scale, could definitely use. When, again, we're trying to build up. I'm thinking back to that first game against Milan, away to Milan, where, we gave up a stupid goal from, a nothing foul from Scott Brown. But we had control of that game for large stretches. That Milan team is not good. We had control of that game. We had every right to win that game, and we just didn't take our chances. And it was just because we had no sort of endeavor. We had no spark in the build-up. And I think that Robert Snodgrass ticks that box for us. Be it the Champions League or, whatever. God forbid we wound up in the Europa League. I think that he adds to, our abilities dramatically. So that would probably be number one on my list, would be get rid of your boy Bo Richter. We should have been in for Snodgrass. If it's a shame that Norwich didn't go down last season, because Snodgrass could have come up instead of Bo Richter, but nonetheless, it's the type of situation where Snodgrass could fill in the role that we were hoping Bo Richter would fill into, who, let's be honest, is never going to fill into that role. And
but isn't he 3 years younger than Bruni?
I think he's 26.
Yeah, that'd be 3.
So
2-3 years.
Yeah. So that would be.
Yeah, he's 26.
That would be an ideal pickup, in my opinion, and and a name that's being bandied about just now. So.
So you made the comment there that really goes back to my point, and just so we can go ahead and weave the two topics together. You make the comment, we're in the Milan game, we had no endeavor. I'm telling you, that's the reason why we need to go get a number 2 with European experience, and then on top of that, Snodgrass would definitely fill that. And I could see, I could see a manager going to Bruni and saying, "All right, here's the deal. Don't be a dick. I don't need you to kick Neymar. I know you didn't kick him. I don't need you to try and kick him. I don't need you to just play the game, or if not, we'll just go ahead and let Snodgrass play, or have that ability. I think he's got to be able to see that his end is coming. He can't continue to do stupid shit, and I think he'd be the perfect runaround, because it's definitely not Kyle anymore. I mean, I can't trust him.
Kyle's
I couldn't
gone.
trust him. I know I couldn't trust him with a fucking dull butter knife, not to hurt somebody. So, I don't know. I think you hit it right there. You hit both comments. The endeavor to be able to do that. Yes, Bruni does really well as a defensive midfielder in that sort of defensive type of game. And by the way, that was not a foul. That Balotelli is a fucking diving bastard. No different from Neymar. Anyway.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. Okay.
Sorry.
Fantastic.
I had to get it off my chest.
No, I very good. Great stuff. So let's turn to Sevco. Hey! Now, I know that we've made a point not to even acknowledge that they exist, and, it's a complete irrelevance. But we had some news this week on the Sevco front that, they've spent 67 million pounds over the past 18 months to get themselves from Division 3, the third division, to the second division. And now to the first division, and, the first division down from the championship, or the premiership, I guess, spiffle, whatever you want to call it. I can't even keep up with these stupid-ass names.
That's a lot of money for face painters. Shout out to Kevin Bridges. That's funny shit. I'm sorry.
It's true. It's true, though. And it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder where all that money is gone.
Oh, into some chalet in France.
Hey.
And listen, we don't have it. Listen, we can't really complain. We have a nice heated driveway somewhere in Glasgow. So
Absolutely. Barefoot walking on the driveway all year round. There's nothing like it. There really isn't. Yes.
I digress. I'm sorry.
So
Continue.
it seems as though the inevitable circling of the drain for Sevco has come. Rev, shedding any tears? Maybe
Of joy.
I mean, when you hear the fact that they can't afford the wages that they're on just now, and then Graham Wells comes out and says that Alan McCoy will be given money to strengthen his squad, it really just it takes everything within you not to piss yourself laughing.
Where's it going to come
Give it
from?
to
I
him.
mean,
Give it to him. Let
3
him.
weeks ago they had they put up a picture, for their season books renewal appeal. There's like a postcard that Allie's holding and stuff, and some players, I think, and it says your whatever your season book or your money pays Allie's wages or something like that. It's like, really, that's what you've come to?
Money well spent.
Like you said, someone's got to get the karaoke machine and the the muffins in the morning and shit for him.
I mean, just the visual of that. Fat Sally singing, just call me Angel in the morning, baby. Nothing? Well, that was regrettable.
We'll just let that one fade away.
Well, took a shot.
But, I mean, listen, let them go ahead. Let them continue to do whatever they're going to do. Eventually, the way it's going, they're going to run out of money, or they're going to run out of time, or and who's going to continue? I mean, who literally would continue to give them money? I laugh every time I say, well, they're going to float to their share issue and get another 20 or 30 million in the fall. From who? Who? It's just absolutely just. I don't know. So rich people can run around. Another 20%, was it?
Yeah,
Right.
it was. They were at like 26. They dropped to 21. I mean, that was like Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know what it's done then, but I just saw that. Yeah, it's a pretty huge chunk down the drain. Boop boop boop.
But don't you think that those people who bought the shares originally knew that I'm doing nothing but spitting into the wind?
Probably.
This is an absolutely useless and futile endeavor.
That's really all they have is their own, their own fans, their own support base. I mean, And, looking at it objectively just for a minute, probably their best bet is to just be like a semi-pro, non-affiliated team and just play like that, and like what's it, the United FC of Manchester or whatever, do one of those, or like the 5-pound football club things. That's really their best bet.
But, the question then becomes, when does the margin call happen? I mean, when does when does
exactly.
when does the house of cards just fall down, and it's not sustainable. They're sitting on literally an asset that is worthwhile. I mean, they're sitting on the real estate that Ibrox consumes. They have Murray Park. I mean, at some point they're going to run out of money. Season ticket money only goes so far. They had what possibly could be a fraudulent share issue based on false.
Oh, did you see that?
Based on false pretenses, and they're not going to be able to do that again. Did you see there's a police investigation to Wallace's report? No, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, apparently one of the shareholders filed a complaint with the police saying that Graham Wallace has been lied in that report.
Well, that's certainly coincidental, considering Paul Arkin's last two blogs.
A lot of face painters. Listen, at some point in time, like I said earlier, someone's going to have to say, "Where's my money?"
Well, I mean,
and the bank's going to have to turn around. I mean, if the bank's going to turn around and go, "It's time to do this."
And I mean, how many?
And it won't be. I'm sorry, God. I'm sorry.
How many deluded Huns are there? How many deluded zombies are left that will continue
5,000.
paying money for this? And paying
5,
money.
5,000 who came up with the money for season tickets so far. From what I've read.
Paying money now in cash only, up front. Oh no! You have to pay the money now. You have to pay the money now. Otherwise,
I know drug dealers that deal with better credit scores and shit like that.
Rev knows drug dealers that take Square and Sevco can't. That's funny. I have it plugged right into my phone. Come here, I got your fifth right here.
Yeah. Hey, Sevco can't even take Bitcoin. Unbelievable.
Wow.
I tried to send them a gift via
happening.
PayPal the other day, and it bounced back to me. You know that?
Yeah, that's like the heartbreak of psoriasis. Oof. Rev, you were going to say?
Oh no, I can see that happening. Like, some of their more technological, fancy supporters doing like another cryptocurrency, and call it People Coin or whatever.
We are the People Coin.
Is that a Quidditch reference or something? I don't.
No, like they just this last winter, with the Winter Olympics, they set up, a small group of people set up a very own, called a Dogecoin, and that's how the Jamaican bobsled team got to go to the Winter Olympics this year. It was all crowdsourced. It was like $30,000 or something like that to send their team back to the Olympics. So I could see them trying to do some sort of scheme like that, trying to set up and crowdsource to try to, keep the team, barely treading water.
Orange coin?
$30,000. That would be a lot. That would be what? Just enough for Sally's Pies for the month.
That would pay Lee McCulloch's wages for a month. They could do like Sally Struthers, have like, an infomercial, like Lee McCulloch elbowing the shit out of people. $30,000.
Feed the bears.
30,000 pounds can pay this man to go out and elbow part-time opponents who are plumbers and painters as their
masons.
real jobs on a weekly basis. Only you can step in and feed the bears. Thank you.
You know what's funny is that no matter who's pitching that commercial, I always switch it off, but I would watch that one just to see the suffering in their eyes.
Or like the Sarah McLachlan one.
No, that's after they die. That's
after they die.
Yes, that's like, that they'll do the infomercial after Sevco hits the wall, and it's clear that there's not going to be, a third installment.
Well, didn't that happen the last time?
No.
I mean, I don't want didn't they just die and then someone walked in for a few pounds and picked up the whole gig for, and then made their money and walked out, and now they're going to die again? All this is just, history repeating. They're just going to die again. Someone's going to come in, walk in, buy it for a few dollars, and then, fleece them for some more cash, and then it'll go down again, and then they'll do it. I mean,
yeah, but there's no more cash. There's no more cash left to fleece them for.
There's enough idiots that are out there willing to give them £500 for a season ticket.
There's not enough.
No, that's true.
They'll
just go play it. They'll go play at Fir Park.
Well, and that stands to my earlier point. The only way that they can sustain this is with one of those Sarah McLachlan deals. I will remember you. Will you remember? No.
When this happens.
No, we're not going to remember you.
No, that's what I'm saying. When this happens, we have to play that song on that next following show.
Oh,
ridiculous!
It can't happen soon enough.
Hey, what's funny? They can't. Let's say Rangers can't even do Rangers right, let alone American people. What's hilarious is, like, yesterday,
Rangers
my son's off this week. I'll get to a second. Hold on. My son's off this week. They start their state cup playoffs next weekend. So one of my friends, his son was playing, and I would look at the schedule. They played at 8 o'clock yesterday morning, so I went and drove up there to watch them play at a tournament here sponsored by our club. And they were playing this Triangle United FC Rangers team. And I'm like, okay, I've got to check this out. And it's the funniest thing in the world, because their other U10 team is the Celtic team. So one's the Celtic, one's Rangers, I guess. I don't know.
Did they have an orange kit?
No, they were wearing green. See, even Americans can't do Rangers correctly. and they got pounded 7-0, which was wonderful. So, I mean, I took pride in the fact that they beat the shit out of Rangers. But it's the funniest thing, listening, oh, come on, Rangers. I'm like, every time I heard that, it was like nails on the fucking blackboard. Oh, come on, Rangers, you're doing so well. Meanwhile, they're getting beat 7-0. So,
did they sing songs about the Pope?
The goalkeeper. No. So, you know what? Can we talk about that for a second? Enough about Rangers. That Pope picture is brilliant. God bless Paul Tim. That is absolutely the best. And you know what's funny? And this
is it a real picture? Sorry, that's
yes,
undoctored?
Yes.
That's real? No shit.
Yes,
okay.
That's totally real. Yeah, he gave it to his mom, and on the back it says Pope Francis I, and absolutely the best.
Okay, now wait. Let me get in because one of the pictures.
I want to go ahead and I want to say something.
Okay, real quick. One of the pictures was doctored. The picture of Pope Francis holding up, it looked like a Celtic kit that he was holding up in front of him. That was actually a fake. That was photoshopped. Okay. But the previous picture of Paula Tim's mom handing him the Celtic jersey, that is real. Yeah, and it did have Pope Francis on it. So continue.
Yes. So what's funny is there was a comment, one of the Twitter conversations that someone was giving Paul some grief, and it was funny. So why must you bring religion and politics into football? Blah 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 blah. And I find it funny coming from a Sevco zombie, because the head of your religion is the king, and you tried to fuck him out of millions, and that's why he won't hold up your shirt. So, I don't understand the hatred. I don't get it. I mean, if you're going to claim to be quote, British and have all this other shit that goes with it, and then hate the Irish for what they are, then go ahead and send your new kit with the black thorn across the front right over to Westminster and have Lizzie wear it for you.
Shit, she ain't wearing that.
On. No, she's like, I don't even drink Blackthorn, bitches.
Yeah,
get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. That tastes like pish.
But it's it was an absolutely brilliant move. I absolutely loved it.
Well, let's also consider the fact that people give the Pope football kits all the time. Like, there's a picture of the Pope holding up a Manchester City jersey. Does that mean that they're injecting religion into Manchester City? No, it's because a Catholic supports Manchester City, saw the Pope, and wanted to give him a Manchester City kit. He's been photographed holding up a Barcelona kit. Is Barcelona an out-and-out Catholic club, and is that injecting religion into it? No. But the bottom line is, getting back to your original point, which is, do they even believe what they're saying? Do they even understand how stupid it is? And the answer is no. They don't understand. They don't know what they're even saying. They're hating for the sake of hating. That's what the whole makeup of Rangers and now Sevco is about. Half of them don't even understand what they're hating. They just want to belong to something. And part of the belonging to that is hating.
Agreed, 100%. It's funny.
It is.
They're
funny.
hurting. I feel bad. I really do. I mean, as human beings, I feel bad for them.
I feel bad for the good.
As Sevco supporters, you got to laugh your ass off.
I feel bad for the good Sevco supporters.
You ever met
a
one?
handful of good ones.
No, no, I don't. There are no good ones. If you know what that club stands for and you continue to support them, you're not good. I drink their tears because it's so sweet. I love Sevco tears. Oh,
drink their tears. Nice.
I do. I drink their tears like the magic elixir. They're just so sweet. Yum yum yum.
Yum yum yum.
Bring me a goblet of Sevco tears. Pronto. Right.
It'd be great. It'd be great. I mean, it'd be great to watch them just circle the toilet. I would like to try the what do you call it? The experiment to see which way the water flushes. We just take Sevco and flush them down the toilet either side of the equator and see if it goes left or right.
You know what?
But all I know is at the end of it, it just goes down the fucking hole, which is perfect for me. So left or right doesn't care. I just like to see it.
See, I had that same curiosity when I went to Australia, and I was very let down. Listen here, Australians, you let me down. When I went there, and it's like, okay, the water goes down the toilet the other way, right? Their toilets are all fucked up. Like you press the button, and it just goes like the water just sucks down all at once. They don't have like the same deal. It doesn't fill up, and then get to a certain point where it's slow, and then it swirls, whatever. No, it just all goes down. Bullshit.
That's because we're capitalist users of Earth's.
Oh Jesus! Will you stop?
Materials.
Stop with your Yankees capitalist bullshit. Stop. It's like you're like the campaign manager for one of these Republicans over here. I digress.
Ooh, there we go. Now we're getting into it.
Hey,
so the way I look at it is this: I'm wrapping up for me for today's show. I'm totally excited about 6-0. I'm glad we got to go ahead and talk about 90% of the shit with not on the park. And the 10% that was, I was totally pleased with how they played today. I would really like to see some youngsters play. But then again, I think they're probably holding back for the Glasgow Cup. No, that's U17, so I don't even think that has anything to do with it. So
no, I think that I
don't know why.
I
think they could probably play Wednesday, right? They play Wednesday.
A week from Wednesday. Our next game is against Aberdeen. Next Saturday.
Then a week from Wednesday, and then Sunday.
Yeah, and then that'll wrap it up. 12:15 on the 11th of May. And
there's early games.
Yep, 7:15. No getting high, Rev.
Oh.
Rev won't be there.
No getting high.
No promises.
Jesus.
I can't make any promises.
Unbelievable.
Well, no, for a 7:15 kickoff, I got to go to bed at like 11, 12 o'clock at night. That's ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Like a normal person.
Yeah.
All right, just checking.
I mean,
I know it's tough. It's tough to finish up all your FIFA and MLB and NHL hockey games
and Taco Bell.
And Taco Bell before too. It's true.
Hey, fourth meal, bitches.
Fourth meal. Hey, speaking of which, speaking of fourth meal, have you had a chance to get another kiss from anyone sliding out of the sky at a Red Bulls game? Or even better, why don't you tell everyone, Rev, about your last Instagram you sent out to everybody at your last Red Bulls game about how you beat this guy up?
That sounds interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'll preface it. 2 weeks ago, 2 games ago, we had Philly and Maurice Edu plays for Philly. So during a corner kick, right at on our end where I sit, he's like right there, so I'm just like, yelling at him and stuff. And I pulled my phone up, got a quick little video and stuff, and I'm like, oh, that seemed pretty popular. So, and we happened to play Houston this past Wednesday,
Orange
and Andrew
bastards.
Driver is on Houston, so I'm like, why not? Let's go for it again. So, yeah.
You're a fucking zombie bastard, Han motherfucker. That's good shit, man.
Yeah,
I got a kick out of that one. That one I
Just
could not play.
hearts are going bust, that. Just trying to, I highly doubt he heard me over us and everyone yelling in the crowd noise and stuff anyway, but it made me feel better, and that's what counts.
I'm sure he heard you. I'm sure, you showed him.
And then as soon as I finished, I'm like, oh, he's wearing an orange shirt. Why didn't I didn't think of that.
Orange bastard. Well.
Careful, the SFA bring up on charges.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Ridiculous.
Well,
anyway.
there's always next time, ref.
Yeah, we'll get him again.
Yeah, fantastic.
By the way, did you beat Philly?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, they beat the hell out of Philly.
Just check.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just asking. I don't know.
Philly is an absolute shambles right now.
I mean, that's what happened for us last year, not to get too off the mark, but it's like when we need a win, we know we can always count on Philly at home.
Yes, you can.
There you go.
Well, until then,
MLS for dropping some MLS knowledge on you.
Yes, MLS. For those who are interested, we have the MLS resources. Fantastic. Until then, Dr. J, thank you so much for checking in.
Yes, I'm out later, boys. Take care. Hail.
Later.
All right, be good.
Later. All right, take care.
Watch the pine tar in your neck, okay? Yeah. Oh, he hung up. Weird.
Easy now.
Oh, you're still here. Where's the pine tar in your neck? You should just put it on top of your bald head.
The worst, after looking at all that and stuff, it was a Red Sox fan, in comments saying, "Oh, that's racist that he can get away with that because a white player couldn't get away with putting pine tar on his arm." Yeah.
I think the Green Brigade should make a banner. Now joining us is Sean. Thank you so much for calling in, pal. Do you hear us? I think that sound means he doesn't hear us. Rev, you're still here, right?
I'm here.
All right, fantastic. Well, I'm not really sure what the situation was. Sean was trying to get in touch, and that failed miserably.
What are you doing over there? What kind of operation are you running?
I'll tell. I got. Well, the hockey game's over. The Flyers lost. That sucks balls. I got my iPad updating. I got more things on this laptop going than than you could shake a stick at or something. So I don't know. But we'll give him a minute. See if he checks back in. But yeah, Rev, we're on pace for 100 points and 100 goals.
That'll do me nicely.
That's a pretty impressive feat, all things considered. And it's time to look towards the qualifiers. Oh,
definitely.
This just in. Hang on a second. Hang
Okay.
on. I have some breaking news here. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, hang on.
The suspense is killing me.
Hang on. Got something for you.
Uh-oh.
A Beyond the Waves exclusive. This just in. Sky Sports is now reporting the PFA Scotland Player of the Year is Chris Commons.
Nice.
Love this music. Yeah, coming at you. Chris Commons, Player of the Year. Congratulations. Sorry, that was my radio voice. It's just awful. So Chris Commons gets Player of the Year after a year where the past season we didn't even have a player nominated. We had 3 players nominated, and I think that's right on, Rev. Your thoughts? Chris Commons.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine anyone else. I mean, how it's been is just, look towards Celtic, really. Or it should be, kind of, at least for the way things are going right now. And he's been our Player of the Year, so there's no doubt why he shouldn't be the league's player of the year.
No question. I mean, the goals that he scored, the presence that he's had, really just carrying a lot of the results that we had in the early part of the season. I think it's well deserved, and congratulations to Commons. And I feel good for him as well. Knowing that it's more than likely that he's going to finish his career as a Celtic player, and he probably has a good 2 to 3 more years, playing at the top level, I would think. I mean, certainly he's going to lose a step here or there. He may become more prone to injury, but he's going to be an effective player for us for quite some time, especially if we manage him correctly and well and properly. So that's good news. And
go ahead.
Well, I was also going to throw in Virgil van Dijk and Fraser Forster. By them not winning it reduces the amount of attention they're going to get from prospective clubs that would come in and try and take them away from us. So that's really a win-win.
That works, yeah. No, I was just going to say, for Chris Commons, how he was kind of the main guy for the first half of the season, kind of carrying the team and whatnot. And, now that he's not carrying the team on his back, he's still playing very well. And, he didn't, drop off in form or anything like that because, it's not all on him. He stepped back and he's still producing and he's still contributing positively to the team and, to the players around him. So, I mean, that's, he's had a bad game here or there this season, but nobody can really play perfect all year, every single game. But I think, he really deserves this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, congratulations to him. Fantastic news. And, I'm sure that he and the missus will be celebrating tonight. So, that's great. Another string in our bow, Rev.
In our bow, Richter?
I see what you did. All right. Well, that's a great way to round out the show. Did two solid hours, I think.
Just about.
Yeah, just about. Good enough. I want to give a shout out to Jelly Ice Cream 12. Hey, that's a nice little handle on Twitter. He says, "Can I get a shout out at the end of the show as I'm heading stateside on Friday and be there for Trophy Day in the Lucky Leprechaun in Orlando, Florida." That's the happiest place on earth, Rev.
Yeah, good time to go.
Absolutely. I can't think of a better place to be. The Magic Kingdom. It's full of magic. Great. And, the weather will be nice. It's a little steamy this time of year, but, enjoy it. Make sure you put on the SPF 50.
Yeah.
Right, I don't know.
SPFL 50.
SPFL 50. Rev!
2 in a row.
You are on fire. Very good. Well, Rev, great stuff. Thanks for calling in as you always do.
Count on me.
Such an integral part of what we're doing here. Speaking of which, well, actually not speaking of which, but whatever, I'll just say that. No show next weekend. My wife and I are going on a vacation, a holiday, if you will. Yeah, going back to Jamaica. So there's going to be lots of rum. There's going to be lots of reggae. Rev, you're a fan of the reggae.
I am very much.
Little Lee Scratch Perry for you. That's what we should open the show with. A little Lee Scratch.
I'm down for that.
Little Desmond Decker. That's how we roll. So, yeah, I'll be in Jamaica once again, tweeting out selfies.
Enjoy your ginger beers and dark and stormy and all that.
Yeah, the Goslings will be flowing. And, so no show next week, but hope to have something for you at some point the following weekend. Not sure exactly what the timing's going to be with that, but stay tuned. Going to try and do a wrap-up show after the season commences. Or, I guess that's commences, right?
Thesaurus? That means to start.
Yeah. Well, after the season stops, we'll just say that.
I'll lend you my thesaurus for next week.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'll be looking forward to that with great xenophobia.
Some reading for when you're on the beach.
Exactly. Waistcoat. Come on, Rev. I know you got that out of the thesaurus. call it a waistcoat when everybody actually knows it's a vest. It's like calling sherbet sorbet.
No, it's because I have a fob watch that goes in my waistcoat,
Oh,
not a
Jesus.
pocket watch.
I'm going to have to leave you now.
All right.
So, well, and speaking of which, I mean, I'm lactose intolerant. I don't know about you, but, might be jelly and ice cream time again, but maybe I'll do jelly and sherbet. That might be better.
Yeah. That could be an interesting twist, yeah.
I'll have to give that a shot. Maybe a little mango sherbet and green jelly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you like Rita's, right?
Yeah, we'll just do Rita's.
Like a gelato. You need like the creamy and
but the creamy fruity. Is what ggets me in trouble though, because I'm lactose intolerant. I can't do like those gelatos because the ice cream makes me poop. But sherbet I think is okay. Whatever, we'll just do Rita's and Jello. It's a bit redundant, isn't it? Oh, well. Works. Hey, it's all in good fun and celebrating Sevco's demise. And
if you want to talk about, be Celtic and Celtic family, that's the fun part. When, you're over here 3,000 miles away and you're eating ice cream and jelly and someone over there is doing the same thing, that just kind of makes you feel closer,
Sure does. Sure does. It's all about being a Celt on the park as well as off the park. Just remember that, Rev. Next time you're, shaving your head or whatever, eating Taco Bell at 3:30. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. So, great stuff as always. Thank you so much to Dr. J for calling in. I'm sorry to Sean that we couldn't take his call. I think Jerry was trying to call in as well. I'm sorry, we couldn't get to that also. But, hey, Deco's in the chat room. Shout out to Deco.
He's on Skype, too. He's just hiding on Skype.
Oh, Jesus. He's probably bejanxed from this weekend.
Watch, he's going to call in, and we'll be on for another 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It should be fine with me. I'd love to catch up with Deco. It's been a while. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, I've been busy as fuck. That was Julia Child and Deco had a baby, and that's the way it talks. Oh, I've been busy as fuck. Well, I think that's enough of that. 6-0. Nothing wrong with that. We saw an FA goal. Did the backflip. Pookie scored. Stokesy hat trick. Lee Griffiths putting it right into the left side. I mean, you can't ask for more. Fraser Forster saved the penalty.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go whip out the slip and slide. Really have some fun. Celebrate. Some class. All right. So, taking us out as always is Shane McGowan and the Pogues. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Enjoy your vacation.
Thank you, sir. Rev, say goodbye to everybody else.
Cheers, everybody.
And cheers, everybody, from me as well. Hail, hail, and keep the faith. We'll talk to you soon.
The island, it is silent now, but the ghosts still haunt the waves. And a torch lights up a famished man who fortune could not save. Did you work upon the railroads? Did you ride the streets of crime? Were your dollars from the White House? Were they from the 5 and dime? Did the old songs start to cheer you? And did they still make you cry? Did you count the months and years? Or did your teardrops quickly dry? I know it was not to be on a coffin ship. I came here and I never even got so far that they could change my name. Thousands are sailing across the western ocean to a land of opportunity, but some of them night, in the dead of afternoon, we stepped hand in hand on Broadway, like the first man on the moon. And a blackbird broke the silence as you whistled, it's so sweet. And in Brendan Behan's footsteps, I danced up and down the street. And we said goodnight to Broadway, giving it our best regards. Took our hats to Mr. Cohen, dear old Times Square's favourite bird. Then we raised a glass to JFK and a dozen more besides. When I got back to